and tax framework to help Ukrainian defence manufacturers scale up and modernise production, including building new facilities at home and abroad, according to Umarov. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
A federal judge has ruled that an executive order by President Trump suspending asylum access at the southern border is unlawful. Wednesday's decision could throw into doubt one of the key pillars of the president's plan to crack down on immigration at the southern border, but the judge gave the Trump administration 2 weeks to appeal. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 10 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Switching to Progressive is a game-winning call. And that reminds us of other game-winning calls in the history of sports.
It was a doubleheader in August, and really hot inside the concession stand. So instead of waiting for people to come to me, I figured I'd walk around yelling, "Hot dogs here!" And that's how I became the first hot dog vendor in sports.
Okay, not really a game-winning call, but it was a good call. You can make one too. Switch to Progressive and you could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
Dr. Howard D.C., founder of Balance of Nature and formulator of the fruits and veggies and fiber and spice supplements, has teamed up with veterinarian Dr. Jake to create Dr. Fido's Dog Food Topper, a tasty, nutritious way to enrich your dog's meals. Just scoop, sprinkle, and stir. Call 888-388-7297 or go to drfidos.com, drphytos.com. And for a limited time, order now and receive a 10% discount with our money-back guarantee by using promo code BALANCE.
Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
Stock indexes finished mixed ahead of a highly anticipated report about how the U.S. job market is holding up amid uncertainty about President Trump's tariffs. The S&P 500 rose 0.4% and set a record for a third time in 4 days. The Dow Jones Industrial Average dipped slightly, and the Nasdaq Composite gained 0.9%. Tesla shares rallied following its latest update on deliveries, while Centene tumbled after the healthcare company withdrew its profit forecast. Treasury yields were mixed ahead of the U.S. jobs report that comes up on Thursday. The Dow was down 10 points to 44,484. The Nasdaq gained 190 to 20,393. The S&P 500 up 29 to 6227. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com.
On-Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Rain clearing out by midnight. The low temperature dips down to 73. Tomorrow's nicer. A blend of sunshine and clouds to go with a high of 92. For the 4th of July on Friday, it's beautiful. Lots of sunshine, 90 before the high. Weekend looking good. Sunshine-filled skies Saturday, 93 our high. While on Sunday, a blend of sunshine and clouds with a high temperature of 90. I'm Cal Moss with your on-point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make the
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
Well, it's not Phil and Chris, but good evening to you. Thank you for spending your summer evening with us here on Sports Talk. I know you're used to hearing Phil Kornblut's voice here, but Phil has abandoned us. Not a big deal. It's a spiritual sabbatical he's taking to the great Northwest. He's safe. I spoke to him a couple of hours ago. I asked him how the flight was. He says, "Oh, did you do the recruiting report?" I said, "Phil, is everything okay? How's your wife?" He said, "Oh, yeah, did you do the recruiting report? Did you get that together?" And I said, "Well, Phil, I want to make sure that, you need to call Rick. He lived out where you're going to visit, so maybe you could get a good restaurant recommendation from him." And he said, "Okay, well, I just wanted to check on the recruiting report." So, Phil, out tonight. Chris tanning in Margaritaville. He'll be back next week. That leaves it to our producer Josh Cohen, and myself, Matt Smith, to get you up to date. It is a bit of a lull in the sports calendar every year this time of year, but we have a few things going on thanks to, recruiting. The Gamecocks have landed a highly coveted defensive recruit from the heart of ACC country. Clemson may have lost a recruit they were counting on. And how about this? In a season full of bad breaks, the Braves were just hit with another one. This time the break, a literal one, a fracture. We'll get to those stories in just a few moments, but let me set the table for you. I mentioned Josh Cohen. You'll definitely hear from him tonight. We've got some things teed up that I'm going to toss up to Josh, make sure he gets his opinion known, because this is his chance to talk behind Phil and Chris's back on Sports Talk. So we're going to take advantage of that. We want you to do the same. 888-898-2525. Any of these topics tickle your fancy tonight, you jump on board. I promise Josh and I will give you a little bit of room tonight and tomorrow before the 4th of July weekend. Also, tonight we've got some guests. We have the Rundown on tap, which is our weekly visit with Chris Dorsey on American Legion Baseball. We'll also check in with longtime AP sports writer Pete Iacobelli in hour number 2. He received the Herman Helms Excellence in Media Award earlier this year from the South Carolina Hall of Fame. Well deserved. More than 4 decades of covering sports, the biggest sports events in this state. A lot of what we have done, and Phil Kornblut has done, and those that have worked with him over the years have done on this radio side, Pete Iacobelli has been doing for the Associated Press. So we always see him at those big events, and he is a pro's pro. So I'm happy to have him on Sports Talk coming up in hour number 2. And he's not done. He's stepping away from the Associated Press, but he will certainly be working in the sports industry and covering games and stories. So we'll just have a conversation with Pete a little bit later on about Bill Belichick at North Carolina and the latest with South Carolina and Clemson, what he envisions for Cade Klubnik and Lenore Sellers' teams going into the season. And we'll get you set for the long 4th of July weekend. You have to love that it falls on a Friday this year with Major Billy Downer and SC Wild. But I mentioned the Gamecocks in a big recruiting story, so I'm not going to keep you in suspense. All right, if you missed our top story today, maybe you were working, maybe you were cutting the grass, maybe you were coaching Little League, whatever you were up to, or like Chris, sitting by the pool having a Mai Tai, or Phil getting on flights going across the country just trying to stick it to me so we'd have to do the show without them this year. If you were doing any of those things, what you may have missed is highly touted defensive lineman Noah Clark announced his commitment today to the South Carolina Gamecocks. This is one that Shane Beamer really wanted and really needed after some misses on the recruiting trail here recently. Noah Clark comes from Durham, North Carolina, and will head to Columbia. The Gamecocks beat out NC State, Duke, Virginia, and Virginia Tech for the Durham, North Carolina product. Clark, whose July 2nd announcement coincided with his birthday, so he's a birthday boy, goes 6'4", 350 pounds. You heard that right. Class of 2026, but he's 6'4", 350, has some really impressive film. Clark forged a really close relationship with Gamecocks defensive line coach Travian Robertson. He's taken 8 visits to the USC campus. Moments after making his announcement, Clark told Rivals that Gamecock fans can expect a guy that's, quote, coming in ready to work. I love this game of football. I don't play it for the clicks. I don't play it for the money. I play it for the game. 8 of South Carolina's 10 commitments now come from the Carolinas, 3 of which hail from the Tar Heel State. So now 10 commitments for South Carolina. As I mentioned, I watched some of the film for Noah Clark, and I can see why everyone is impressed. And going back through some of what Clark has said all along, and by the way, South Carolina was the first school to offer Noah Clark. So he said again that was important, and he had said that all through his recruitment, that they stayed consistent with him. So it's somebody obviously that Travian Robertson and Shane Beamer really stayed on. And Noah Clark, that film, 350 pounds, but he moves really, really well. And he said that a lot of schools had been talking to him, and he kind of used the term space eater, but with Travian Robertson and South Carolina, they talked to him about being a playmaker, making tackles for losses, beating blocks at the line of scrimmage, and raking havoc in the backfield. And yeah, as a defensive lineman, who wouldn't want to hear that? But at 350 pounds, you also can't blame some of the other schools and coaches for talking to him about eating up space and holding up blocks, kind of that old Samuel Adams, Tony Siragusa style, so that the linebackers behind you could come up and make the plays. But be that as it may, from North Carolina, the state of North Carolina, Noah Clark commits to South Carolina. Meanwhile, there are experts that think Clemson is losing ground with its top target. Edge rusher Bryce Perry Wright, over the last few weeks, indications from reporters were that Perry Wright was likely to announce for Clemson. But today, Rivals Steve Wiltfong dropped a Fong bomb, which is a tweet, a prediction from Steve Wiltfong from Rivals, and he predicted that Mike Elko and Texas A&M will land the services of Perry Wright. So a lot of experts that have been following the recruitment of Perry Wright had believed Clemson had the inside track. Today, Steve Wiltfong, so, take it for what it's worth. I can tell you that the Fong bomb has an all-time accuracy rate of over 90%. So
Phil calls him Fong. I can't even say it. It's something with wrong.
Yeah. Phil calls him Fong wrong.
Yes.
And, well, you know what? People call Phil things too. So
they call him a lot of things.
They call him a lot of things. But we will have to see. And look, this is obviously I have this argument with Phil all the time. Here's an argument I have. I'll let you weigh in on this. Phil holds it against people, including himself, by the way. He holds himself to this standard as well. If he predicts that someone is going to commit to a certain school, so let's say he says, okay, Michael Vick is going to go to Penn State. He says Michael Vick is going to Penn State. And Michael Vick has told everyone he's going to Penn State in his inner circle, and that's where Phil got it. And Michael Vick himself told Phil that. But then Michael Vick changes his mind at the last minute. Suddenly, somebody shows up with a bag of money, and he goes to Virginia Tech. To me, that wasn't wrong. Someone changed their mind. I don't understand this. You're trying to predict where someone will choose to go. I could tell you, Josh, that I'm going to eat at Outback Steakhouse tonight. I'm going to. And you say, okay, I have a good authority. Somebody's going to be at Outback Steakhouse tonight. But when I'm driving by, I realize, I've been thinking about Mexican. There's this great place in Spartanburg, Monterey on the west side. I've decided I've changed my mind. I'm going to go Mexican instead. I don't see how that reflects poorly on you. Well, anyway, that's why I'm not in that business. That's why I do not work in that world, because I could not imagine me dropping Smitty bombs, guessing where young men are going to choose to go to college. And now with money in the mix, someone can get outbid at the 11th hour. And all of a sudden I have egg on my face. I don't get it. Anyway, that's an aside. I shouldn't have gone that far into it. I just don't get it. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Josh? I'm not going to hold it against Wiltfong if he's wrong about this. He won't get a nickname from me if he's right or he's wrong.
Well, before we get started, let me tell you, Phil sent me a text this morning, said make sure Smitty does the recruiting report. So I had to ask, have you done the recruiting report? Have you done it?
Yeah, I got the recruiting report ready.
Perfect. No, so what?
You just heard it.
Great. That was the whole thing. Amazing. Anyways, I think it's the reporter's job to make sure it's valid. I mean, if you don't, I think you should have to confirm it. And maybe they think that it's a 100% certainty that Michael Vick is going wherever or Matt Smith is going to Clemson, and you change your mind. I wouldn't say it's on the reporter, but also, I mean, it's like, is it their fault? Is it not? There's not a really good way to put a blame on anybody. I guess the only thing you could ask is of the players, of the high schoolers that are committing to have you can't really ask much of them, but you could say, just tell me where you think you're going to go, but don't put in your story with 100% certainty, I know he's going to go here. If you don't really know, how can we make predictions if we don't really know where they're going?
And by the way, Phil doesn't make predictions. He makes prognostications.
Right.
So, and watch out for the transfer portal as well, because see, a player can transfer, and then you keep your prediction, and then you can say later, well, the prognostication just took a while. It just took a while to come to fruition. I don't know. I guess to me, what I think is I wouldn't guess, but I suppose this is part of the industry that Steve Wiltfong has to make a prediction. It's just the way the game works. So, and look, we can't change it. It's like it's like politics. You can't change it. You may not like something, you don't like the filibuster. You and I can't do anything about it. You and I can't do anything about it. So I can't do anything about this, but I know that Phil's going to call him Steve Wrongfong if Bryce Perry Wright indeed chooses Clemson July 5th instead of Texas A&M. So that's when we'll put all of this to bed, 5 o'clock on Saturday. Former Dorman Cavalier and Clemson Tiger P.J. Hall will be playing for the Hornets in the NBA Summer League in Las Vegas from July 10th through the 20th. So it's not actually the Charlotte Hornets. We won't see P.J. Hall with the Charlotte Hornets, or we may if he performs well enough in the Summer League. Hall was with the Nuggets last year. He performed well, nearly 20 points a game in the G League, played 19 games with the Nuggets, and just played sparingly behind Nikola Jokic. Nobody gets a lot of minutes behind Jokic, so maybe it's better that Hall is no longer with the Nuggets. So right now he's trying to prove himself with the Hornets. Kemba Walker, by the way, one of the assistants on that Summer League team. And Twitter today was just slammed with all of the legal sports experts, those that cover sports law specifically, tweeting about all that is going on with the NIL legislation and also a lot of eligibility lawsuits. Here's one of them. This one actually has to do with us here. Somewhat, at least. It involves a local player here in the state of South Carolina. Former College of Charleston basketball player Darren Boyd has filed an eligibility lawsuit against the NCAA. He claims he had a $350,000 NIL offer from Vanderbilt that he would be able to take, but for the NCAA's 5-year clock rule. Boyd averaged almost 14 points a game last year for the Cougars, but it was his 5th year out of high school. The lawsuit stems from the fact that the first 2 seasons that Boyd played were spent at NAIA Georgetown in Kentucky. So once Boyd suited up for Georgetown, his 5-year clock began, and it's now out, and all of that is, this has been something that's been around forever, but every now and then you hear the NCAA will grant a 6 year of eligibility, and there was that legislation passed after COVID, granting a lot of players an additional year. And Boyd is challenging the NCAA, and I don't know where this is going, and whether in the end, perhaps like JUCO years, NAIA will no longer count against your NCAA clock. But all of that remains to be seen, but I thought it was interesting in that it had to do with someone that played at the College of Charleston successfully, by the way. Darren Boyd was a key part of the Cougars just last season, and he's looking to get to Vanderbilt or somewhere else and capitalize on the NIL money that is flowing right now. Also, I do want to mention that the All-Star starters for Major League Baseball will be revealed tonight. I don't think the All-Star game's like it used to be, but we'll get the starters tonight, and some news for the Braves. The good news, Jurickson Profar has returned from his 80-game PED suspension. For the first time this season, the Braves can start the outfield they envisioned, with Profar, Harris, and Acuna playing together. The devastating news, however, is right-hander Spencer Schwallenbach has a fractured elbow. Oh, can't catch a break, can they? Back after this.
When I grew up, I want to be a nurse.
I want to be an engineer.
I want to be a teacher.
There's never been a better time to start making their dreams come true. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan, makes it easy to save for their future education. Contributions are tax deductible, earnings are tax free, and you can start saving right now with any amount. Go to futurescholar.com today to discover the smart, easy way to save for college. That's futurescholar.com.
This is Major Billy Downer with the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Boating season is right around the corner here in the Palmetto State. As you get ready for this spring and summer, make sure your registration sticker is up to date and you have a copy of your registration card on board your boat. For more information on boat registration and answers to common questions, visit dnr.sc.gov. Hi, this is Major Billy Downer, and coming up tonight at 7:30, it's another edition of SC Wow from the Department of Natural Resources on the Sports Talk Media Network.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's Corbett. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
The lottery is not about getting rich. It's about helping people, and it always has been. The lottery is what helped raise the Great Wall of China, build the roads of Rome, and today in South Carolina, it's what generates millions of dollars each year for scholarships like the SC Hope, Life, and Palmetto Fellows. The South Carolina Education Lottery is investing in you. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou to learn more.
My daddy served in the army, where he lost his right eye, but he flew a flag out in our yard till the day that he died. He wanted my mother, my brother, my sister, and me to grow up and live happy in the land of the free. Now this nation that I love is falling under attack. A mighty sucker punch came flying in from somewhere in the back.
And happy 4th of July week to you. We're just a couple of days shy of the 4th of July weekend. And I hope everybody has some great plans for that. And I certainly hope you get to spend some time with your family. We talk about freedom all the time. One of the things we have is the ability to spend time with the people we love as long as we take advantage of it. So that's important. We'll also talk a little bit about patriotism coming up because we've got the American Legion baseball report, and we'll talk to Chris Dorsey a little bit about the veterans that help to support American Legion baseball all across this state at all the posts. I played American Legion baseball, and I know I didn't take for granted the sacrifices of all those that were involved, all the veterans at the American Legion that made American Legion baseball possible. All right, let's go to the phone lines. 888-898-2525. Our first call tonight comes from Ron Scarborough up there in the upstate. Ron, I'm so glad you're with us, and it's certainly good to see your name pop up on our screen.
Really appreciate you taking my call. Excuse me. You were talking a while ago about the Clark boy committing to South Carolina?
Yes.
Well, it's great they got a 5-star to commit to them. I guess my question is, you said something about they wanted him to come in.
No. We'll let you gather yourself there, Ron.
What?
I just said we'll let you gather yourself. Are you okay now?
Yeah, I got choked eating supper. Anyways, they wanted I apologize.
Okay, well, hang on with us, Ron. But I believe what Ron is going to comment on here is the recruitment of Noah Clark at South Carolina. They've got he's highly touted, and they got him out of Durham, North Carolina. The recruiting services, don't tell Phil I mentioned this, the recruiting services have Noah Clark as a 4-star defensive lineman, 350 pounds. And, yeah, I talked about the relationship with Travian Robertson and how Robertson – I think what you might have been ready to comment on, Ron, is that Travian Robertson said he wants Clark to be a playmaker and not just kind of the run-stuffing, oversized defensive tackle, but actually get into the backfield and make plays.
Yeah, I think I think it's a good thing that he was able to get that commitment. Ron has dropped off. I hope he's feeling better for sure.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Check back in with us tomorrow, Ron. We certainly will take your call anytime. But Ron said he was getting choked up. I hate that. Hopefully we'll hear back from Ron tomorrow. But yeah, that was the big story today. And I know that. As we joked a couple of times, it feels very concerned, about the recruiting report. But certainly, that is a big land for Shane Beamer. And it's been a rough recruiting season for South Carolina, not landing some of the targets that they anticipated. But this is a big one. And I don't think I'm speaking out of school at all. I think it would be very hard pressed for a South Carolina fan to say that one of the things that elevates their program when they are at their best is when they are recruiting that defensive line position like the other SEC elite teams. Just look at the way they were last year. That was an elite defensive line group for South Carolina and had a terrific season, just a step shy, probably a game shy, probably that LSU game short of making the college football playoff last year, and that was due in part because of what they were able to do along the defensive line. And they're going to have to restock there now. They have Dylan Stewart, yes, and that is, if you're going to choose a building block, that's the one to choose. But, again, I think any Gamecock fan would be hard-pressed to argue that when South Carolina is not competing with some of what happened with in the Will Muschamp era, when they are not competing and they just aren't able to put it together, they're usually fine at the skill positions. They usually are hanging tough there, but line play. When they get blown off the ball by Georgia and LSU and Alabama, but South Carolina didn't get blown off the ball last year, and they're certainly addressing that with Noah Clark as long as he ends up at South Carolina. All right. Coming up in our next segment, we've got American Legion, the rundown with Chris Dorsey, because we are we're actually cruising toward the end of the American Legion season. The playoffs are going to be starting in about 2 weeks. We've got a couple of texts come in. Josh, maybe you got time for one text before we take our bottom of the hour break. I want to hear it.
Yes, from Gamecock Tony in Lancaster, says the one thing Beamer, he will recruit you hard, but he's not going to beg anyone to come. That's why he's the man in the state. He says, love the show.
Well, good. Well, we appreciate the text. Hey, Dabo Sweeney's doing a good job recruiting as well. We're going to find out whether or not Bryce Perry Wright ends up in Clemson Orange or Texas A&M Maroon. All right, American Legion Baseball coming up after this.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Rain clearing out by midnight. The low temperature dips down to 73. Tomorrow's nicer. A blend of sunshine and clouds to go with a high of 92. For the 4th of July on Friday, it's beautiful. Lots of sunshine, night before the high. Weekend looking good. Sunshine-filled skies Saturday, 93 our high. While on Sunday, a blend of sunshine and clouds with a high temperature of 90. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Funds to with SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Republican leaders in the House are busy trying to win over some final holdouts on President Trump's tax breaks and spending cuts bill. Some GOP lawmakers are criticizing the legislation as straying from the party's fiscal goals. But Trump and House Republican leaders are determined to get it over the finish line and say the time for changes is over. The Trump administration has accused states and schools of using federal education grants to help fund a radical left-wing agenda. The administration this week froze over $6 billion in federal education grants meant for immigrant and low-income students. Officials say they're reviewing the funds to ensure alignment with President Trump's priorities. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 10 points, the Nasdaq rose 190. More details at srnnews.com.
Hey, it's Kev. I'm hanging out with Ken, the owner of Broker Solar, a local company. Now, Ken, I know you have some solar pet peeves. These national guys, they're just not very honest.
One of the common myths in the solar industry is that you can get solar for free or some kind of government-paid solar, and that's simply not the truth. But what you can get is a solid investment that has tax credits that will pay you back for years to come. That's one of the things that we promote at Broker Solar is proper education in what solar is and how you can take advantage of the incentives that are out there, local and federal.
Tell me more about these tax credits.
There's currently a huge federal tax credit that gets you a third of the system cost back. And on top of that, the state of South Carolina, we're lucky enough to have an extra 25% of that solar system cost come back to you in the form of tax credits, totaling for a 55% discount on your solar system back in tax credits.
Call Broker Solar. Call them now, 803-807-7417 or online, brokersolar.com.
If you've never had genuine Wagyu or here for steaks and burgers, you don't know what you're missing. Time to order the best of the best from HandJCattle.com. These are local farmers in Saluda where tradition meets quality. The best quality beef and a discount for Point listeners. Enter keyword The Point as one word and get 10% off, plus free delivery in Lexington and Richland County orders of $50 or more. It's cooked in season over at HandJCattle.com.
Escape the hustle and bustle of everyday life with Spa MD, your sanctuary of rejuvenation. Feel the tension melt away as our expert team guides you through your customized wellness journey. From soothing massages to revitalizing treatments, we promise a remarkable experience that leaves you feeling renewed and empowered. Discover the calm within every visit. Reach out at 251-9400 or online at visitspamd.com to explore your options. Your oasis of tranquility awaits.
Get ready for a summer of adventure with Founders Federal Credit Union. Now through July 31st, you can take advantage of a special 6.99% APR on select purchases made with your Founders credit card. Whether you're planning a road trip across the state, a relaxing beach getaway, or finally checking off that bucket list destination, we're here to help you make it happen. With this promotional APR, you can enjoy your summer without the stress of high interest rates. Pack your bags, gather your loved ones, and get moving to the vacation you've been dreaming of. Founders makes it easy to enjoy more. So go ahead, kick back, relax, and soak up every sun-soaked moment of your well-deserved summer break without breaking your budget. Learn more and see the list of qualifying purchases at foundersfcu.com/cc. Let Founders help you take the trip of a lifetime. Promotional rate ends February 1st, 2026. Effective APR of 13.25% to 17.90% will apply. Terms and conditions apply. Membership qualification required.
And that sound means it's time for the rundown, our weekly visit with Chris Dorsey, head coach, general manager for Richland Post 215, and he's got it cooking again there at the 215. I happen to know what their record is, but hey, I don't want to spoil it. We're going to let Chris tell you all about it and all that's going on. And I don't know if Phil and Chris have mentioned it on air yet, but Chris also played 3 years of minor league baseball in the Mets organization. If we don't get to those stories tonight, we will before the end of the season because Chris has some good ones. Chris, welcome back to Sports Talk.
Hey, man, just glad to be here. Yeah, Legion season's heating up, but my biggest claim to fame is being playing for Gary Gilmore. You know, that still means so much to me, and you know, him retiring last year, you know, and watching, I feel like I'm a Coastal guy now. as I tell people when they said, "Where'd you go to school if you played for Gilly?" I said, "I went to the University of Gary Gilmore." So I love that guy. He meant so much to me. And I tell you, between him and Tim Whipple, I had two of the greatest coaches in the history of South Carolina. How lucky am I? So that's obviously one of the main reasons I got into coaching, when you got two guys that you played for like that.
Well, let's start there, Chris. So you played for Gary Gilmore, of course, the legendary Hall of Fame coach, national champion, 2016 with Coastal Carolina. So as you're coaching, as you're kind of either, hitting infield, or you put your arm around one of the kids and you kind of give them a pointer as they're running back to the field, do you hear Gary Gilmore's voice in your head? Are you parroting some of what Gary said to you all those years ago?
Absolutely. It's funny when you have kids. Before I used to coach when I was a young guy. I coached basketball and some baseball, but I was a totally different coach. So once you have kids, you learn empathy. And I've learned that empathy is actually a good thing, but it makes you a little soft sometimes. So I revert back to some of the Gilly comments. I remember I batted in the 3 or 4 hole for the 2 years I was there, and I was expected to drive in runs. And, I think we won 55 games one year. We're like 55-10 or something, and we lost a game or did something. And it was the first time in my life that I've been really called out in front of a team. I remember we were in the locker room, and he looked at me and he said, "I've got my 3-hole guy hitting 4 hoppers to the beep, 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 shortstop." And, man, I just thought to myself, man, that kind of got personal with me, but it fired me up, and I needed it. And Coach Whipple was the kind of guy that would slap you in the butt, but he'd also pat you in the back, and you felt like more of a father figure than anything. And Gilly was just hard-nosed. I mean, he was a young coach back then, but he never changed. I got to spend a lot of time with him after the national championship at a Pittsburgh satellite camp. And that guy, he never changed. He's a baseball fanatic, and he always will be. But to answer the long story short, yeah, I bring a lot of Gilly in me. I'm really tough on my players, especially my hitters. Matt, one of the big problems in today's game is high school players take too many pitches. And I don't know if that's from how the coaches coach it or what, but I can tell you this, if you're not up there ready to swing the bat, you're not going to be successful in college, and you're not going to be successful in Legion, because the pitching, once it gets to a certain point, they're looking to get ahead, and you got to be aggressive at the plate. So I'm tough on my hitters because we've had some teams that didn't swing the bat and took too many pitches. So this year I've made an effort to go, look, guys, we're swinging. And I've called some guys out on it too and got a little personal like Gilly would with me.
There you go, Chris Dorsey, straddling that line between coaching and abuse with Richland 215. Chris, let's start small picture, and then we'll go big picture for American Legion across the state. But how are your kids doing? I guess your senior team, how are they doing, and what's their record, and how are they doing in terms of trying to make the playoffs?
Well, it's really all about the conference play now. That's all that matters when it comes to seeding and playoffs. So they don't look at – you could lose every out-of-conference game and win your conference, and that's all that matters. So right now we're sitting at 6-1. We've got 5 more games to play in conference. The top 3 teams in each league make it. So we have 6 leagues, so 18 teams make it. And right now we've won. We're 6-1, but we got a really tough West Columbia team coming up next week, and they're really good. Basically, the entire airport team is, state championship team is with those guys, and they've got some guys from P27 along with White Knoll and Gray Collegiate. So just hard-nosed guys over there. So but I got to brag on my youngest teams, the 15U teams. We've just completed the regular season, and they start playoffs on Monday, and all 3 of our 15U teams finished first, second, and third in that order at a 7-3 league record. So we're top 3 in that league, and they're all, high seeds in the playoffs and looking good. The AA team, we had a tough season with the red team. That season's over. We didn't make the playoffs with the red team, and the gold team, though, is battling out for first place. They're the defending state champions, coached by Casey Estridge, a great guy and a great friend and a great coach. So we're gearing up for the AA and AAA playoffs starting next week, and the senior team's battling it out right now. We got 5 more games to play, and we want to finish, tops in our league.
I want to ask, I said small picture then big picture. Let me ask one more small picture question to you, because you really lit a fire in the community by restarting American Legion Baseball right there. What are the crowds like right now, and are they growing year to year? Is the word getting out?
Yeah, I mean, the crowds are basically like a high school game, and it all depends on you play. Like, a Richland versus a West Columbia will be a big crowd. The Florence, we're not now. I can tell you, nobody in our league is like Florence. I mean, Florence packs the house, and it's an event. But they've got 25. Urquhart's been there for 20 years. He's built something special. This is my 4th year of resurrecting Legion in Richland. In the Richland County area, we're still growing. We're still getting the word out, But I like our crowds. I wish we had more, but they're solid. But I can tell you one thing: the baseball is absolutely incredible. The games when you play against a West Columbia or a Lexington or a Florence or Sumter or Camden, I mean, the games are just from start to finish. You're just on the edge of your seat. It's real quality baseball, man.
And Chris, what do you know about what's happening in the upstate? I'm curious because, of course, I played American Legion baseball in the upstate. It was so big, and I said before this segment began, it was a different energy because you had the veterans there watching you that were a part of the American Legion post, and in other words, you weren't playing just for your school, the high school. That gave it a different feel, a different energy. So what do you know about the upstate? And then tell me about what you know about how the American Legion posts have reacted to American Legion baseball kind of springing back to life in our state.
Well, let me answer the last question first. The commanders and guys, I mean, if for anybody out there that's in their 40s or 50s or 60s or 70s or 80s listening, it's the same exact guy that when you played. He's got that hat on that they wear. They wear their Legion shirts. They're proud. My guys were, when I was playing, were Korea and World War II vets. And, a 75-year-old guy out there or an 80-year-old guy probably had the same thing with World War II guys and even some World War I guys. My guys are mostly Vietnam guys and Afghanistan guys, but they really support it and they really get behind their baseball team. I mean, and I would say again, when you walk into a Florence game, it's Legionnaire taking your tickets, Legionnaire doing the microphone, Legionnaire doing the Legion Creed, because before each game, Matt, we start off with the Legion Creed, and we also do the national anthem for every game. So it's very patriotic, and as July 4th approaches, you don't get any more patriotic than American Legion baseball. It's a different deal, and it's kind of a culture shock to a lot of the kids that come in because they've been playing travel ball their whole life, and I don't fault the kids or anybody or the parents because everybody bitches and moans about travel ball and how expensive it is and how diluted the product can be, but nobody was willing to do something. So these guys, like you were talking about, this will allude me to your first question. Guys like myself that went out and said, hey, instead of crying about how much it costs to play travel ball, how diluted the product is, and how aggravating it can be taking up every weekend of your life, why don't you do something about it? So Legion was an option for me. That's why I did it. And it's gone like gangbusters in our community. We have 106 players in our community that all play for free. So, I read a story today about the Greenville Post. Greenville is unbelievable talent up there, and they lost their baseball for 4 years, and somebody came in and picked it back up, and the guy that went in there and talked to the Legionnaire in the article went in there, and the Legionnaire was just as happy as he could be, and he financially said, we're going to do this, and He funded the whole team. All his players got uniforms and play for free. And the players, it's weird because if you ask a player, they'll say, man, this is so cool. I mean, these kids want discipline. They want patriotism. They want to play for their community. They want to play for a state championship. They want to play for, with their teammates that might have been rivals at their schools. Some of my best friends ever are from my Legion team, even though most of the guys were from Irmo. But, you talk to the kids, because they're the one kind of that is making this thing grow like it's growing. They love it. They love the competition. Xander Buchan, who just transferred to Francis Marion, he was a Gamecock commit way back in the day, 3 or 4 years ago, and he went to the MLB Combine and played for the Chicago Cream in travel ball, and he bought into what we were doing and came and played for us after his senior year. And at the end of the season, Xander, who had played the greatest travel ball in the world, looked at me and said, Coach, this is the best competition I've ever faced in my entire life. So, why wouldn't you play Legion? Now, the big thing, Matt, is it takes leadership. So somebody that's out there listening, if you're in an area that doesn't have Legion and you want to do it, it's not just coaching a team. You got to fundraise. You've got to get the post behind you. You got to find a field. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it, but it's not. If you got a roadmap, you can do it. And once you do it, you create something for the community that's special. And anybody that wants to contact me to give them help on this, I'd love to help them do it, because Greenville, they're 5-2 in league play in their first year out because. And they got a really good team because there's so much talent up there. So I'm real happy that they came back.
Great stuff. The Rundown reminder is presented by the Big Red Box Company. Like Sports Talk, Big Red Box dumpsters cover the state. Big Red Box containers have convenient swinging doors on the back for easy loading. Make your dumpster rental simple by calling Big Red Box at 803-783-6834 or Google Big Red Box Dumpster Company. All right, we'll close with this then, Chris. Tell us about what your next 2 weeks looks like heading into the playoffs, and maybe some of the teams that you're competing with for those 2 playoff spots out of your league.
Yeah, and one thing before you let me go is Sumter is an unbelievable. Honestly, Sumter is my favorite place for Legion. Like if you were going to go try to get people to get into Legion and get a team or play Legion, I would take them to Riley Park and the way that those guys do it. And don't think you won't see Mr. Bobby Richardson out there too. He is a fixture at every one of the games. So I had to say Sumter as well. But, for the next 2 weeks, it's going to be tough. We've got West Columbia. We got the, destiny in our hands. We've got to beat West Columbia. And then, if we beat them 2 out of 3, and then we'll win the league. And then we got Chapin Newberry for 2 games the week of July 14th and 15th, those days. So I'm excited. We got the next couple of days off. I'm actually kind of upset. I really want to play, but it's so much fun, and we're so excited about getting into the playoffs. Big game tonight too, Matt, with Florence and Sumter playing at Riley Park. So that's going to be a fun game, and Camden's playing Fort Mill. So right now, if you ask me who the top 2 teams in the state were, I would tell you Camden and Florence are the teams to beat for right now.
Oh, and they're both in action tonight, and Florence is playing Sumter at Riley Park.
Yes, sir. And man, Riley Park. And hey, man, one thing about Riley Park is if you can hit a home run to the left center or right center out of there, you've touched the ball. That's what I like playing at Riley Park is, it's a real big ballpark. And now I like playing at some of these high school fields because it gives the kids a chance to hit home runs. But, man, if you can touch one and get one out of Riley Park as an 17, 18, or 19-year-old, that's pretty cool.
Chris, before we let you go, Josh wants to jump in as well with a baseball question.
Chris, quick question. I've never even seen a American Legion game, and I'm really interested in it. And we have commenters on the YouTube and the Facebook asking how can one find where and when these games are.
Yeah, so we have an awesome website that Michael Refschneider is in charge of. So if you go to South Carolina. It's called SCALB. That stands for acronym for South Carolina American Legion Baseball. So just Google SCALB or South Carolina American Legion Baseball, and it'll take you to a beautiful site. And the site will show you the schedule of every game going on that night. And, we're from all the way down to Charleston, to Greenville, to Greer, to Inman, to Rock Hill, to Conway. I mean, so every one of your listeners right now can go check out a game anywhere once they get on that website, because we're in every possible area you can be in South Carolina.
Chris, I love it. I'll let you go. Enjoy the 4th, man, and I love your passion for baseball. Thank you so much for doing what you're doing there at Post 215.
Thank you guys for having me and able to share my message about American Legion. And, hey, guys, seriously, jump in out there if you're serious about this. Talk to you guys later.
Thanks, Chris. We'll talk to you next week. We've got callers on hold. We want to get to those at 888-888-8. Forget the phone number. Forget it. Just hang on the line. You're listening to Sports Talk. Smitty and Josh filling in for Phil and Chris.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
If you're looking to grow your business, Sports Talk is here to help. Whether you're a small business owner or part of a large company in the Palmetto State, we want to hear about what you do. Sports Talk has a proven track record of delivering real results to our partners, and advertising with us is probably more affordable than you think. Our network of affiliates gives us the flexibility to work with budgets of all sizes, and our statewide coverage means that whether you're in Greenville, Orangeburg, Chesterfield, Charleston, Woodruff, or anywhere in between, your future customers are listening to Sports Talk every night. Radio remains one of the most effective ways to reach potential customers, and with our extensive reach across South Carolina, your message will be heard. Every business has a story, and we're here to help share yours. Let's find success together. Email us at sportstalkmedianetwork@gmail.com or visit sportstalksc.com to learn more about how we can help grow your business.
Hi, this is Major Billy Downer, and coming up tonight at 7:30, it's another edition of SC Wild from the Department of Natural Resources on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Hi, Phil Kornblut here with our good friend George Bryan III, heard every Friday night on Birdies, Bogeys, and Biceps right here on Sports Talk. George, the Tsunami Bar, a very valuable tool for golfers. Why is that?
Well, the first thing that I say is the tempo. It's the only tool out there that allows the study of tension right from the first grab to be expressed, and rhythm and tempo is what makes the bar work, and it gives you something awfully special to keep those hands soft and get that rhythm going.
Learn more about Tsunami Bar technology by clicking on the digital ad on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, and save 5% by purchasing online using the promo code BBB5.
Do this everywhere we go. I think you know this ain't no one-horse rodeo. I think you know when we pull up, green lights our show. I think you know that we gon' run it till we win.
Chris Dorsey, the American Legion update, the rundown presented by Big Red Box Dumpster Company. Matt Smith, Josh Cohen with you here tonight on Sports Talk as Phil is on a spiritual sabbatical. Chris off chasing margaritas. Chris doesn't drink, so I don't know why I keep telling. I say he's drinking margaritas because that's what I would drink if I had a week away. I have never had a week away, but if I ever get one, I will drink a margarita and sit on the beach. What I'll do right now is I'll go to the phone lines, 888-898-2525. Andy in Columbia. Andy, I was thinking about you just this week.
You were, because my Mets are biting the big one.
I was thinking about you on Bobby Bonilla Day, when Bobby Bonilla.
Our July 1st. the famous day in all baseball history. The $1,200,000 and something odd $1,000 day for 30 years. Must be nice.
Never has someone taken so much from an organization after delivering so little on the field.
Hey, look at the owners. That's what the problem was back then.
Yeah, you're right. All right, well, what's on your mind tonight, Andy?
Well, number one, hello to you and Josh. Number two, thank you very much for giving us corn-free week plus.
Yep.
That's very, very, very kind of you to step in and take over for us, because it is a relief not to hear corn every night. Even though I love Phil, it's a nice relief.
It's a corn-free fourth.
Yeah, it's a corn-free. How did I put it? A KF 10D, corn-free 10 days.
Okay.
Now, of course, he was wrong again, as he was railing on that Don Staley was probably going to become coach of the New York Knicks.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know where Corn gets some of this stuff.
No, wait. Did he say that? Well, hold on. I missed it.
Yeah.
Did Phil make a what? I say he made a prognostication. What does he say he makes?
Well, he said he was reading about it and how it's probably, how serious it could be, and this and that. And I was like,
building it up.
Why would anybody want to coach for James Dolan and work for James Dolan? Number one. Number two, and I think her contract runs out in 2030. Well, guess what team is going to have a WNBA franchise starting in 2030? What city?
Is it going to be? Is it Philly?
Yep, Philly.
Her hometown. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I would think that she would be more interested in maybe becoming president, GM, coach of that team than to waste her time with James Dolan. Even though she could probably work a year and get $40 million, kind of do a Tom Thibodeau on her. The man gets an extension that last year, just starting the next year after he gets fired. I mean, that's almost as good as Damian Lillard getting $100 million that he called his windfall there from the Milwaukee Bucks. And talking about money, and I'm going to say this to everybody who has children out there, who has young boys out there. Let them play basketball. Get them to be professional basketball players. Look at Alexander, SGA, who's just signed a Supermax deal. He is going to be making close to $1 million a game.
Yeah. $71 million a year. All right, Andy, I got to let you go, but I think by the time you hear my voice again at 7:05 on the other side of this break, I think your shortstop, Francisco Lindor, will have been named the starter for the All-Star team. We'll have Pete Iacobelli, longtime writer for the AP, joining us on the other side.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Republican leaders in the House are sprinting toward a vote tonight on President Trump's tax and spending cuts package, determined to seize momentum from a hard-fought vote in the Senate. House Speaker Mike Johnson says he's been speaking with GOP colleagues who have concerns about the bill.
We are working through everybody's issues and making sure that we can secure this vote. I feel very positive about the progress. We've had lots of great conversations. I've met with individuals and groups all day long, as has the president, who's fully engaged as well, trying to convince everybody this is the very best product that we produce.
The bill would extend and make permanent various individual and business tax breaks Republicans passed in Trump's first term. plus temporarily add new tax breaks for tips, overtime, and car buyers. Wisconsin's law banning abortion, which dated back to the mid-1800s, is struck down by the state's high court. Correspondent Donna Warder reports.
The law was in effect until the U.S. Supreme Court passed Roe v. Wade in 1973, but conservative Wisconsin legislators argued that the nullifying of Roe v. Wade in 2022 reactivated the old state abortion ban. The state attorney general, a Democrat, filed a lawsuit, and on Wednesday, the Wisconsin Supreme Court's liberal majority struck down the 176-year-old abortion ban. I'm Donna Warder.
A federal judge ruled that an executive order by President Trump suspending asylum access at the southern border is unlawful. Wednesday's decision could throw into doubt one of the key pillars of the president's plan to crack down on immigration at the southern border, but the judge gave the Trump administration 2 weeks to appeal. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 10 points, the Nasdaq rose 190. More at townhall.com.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time. The next time you're out to dinner with friends, you can order the shrimp cocktail for the table. And maybe you'll realize it only comes with 4 shrimp after you've already given away 3, but that one shrimp will be so good. And if you switch and save hundreds, you could get shrimp all the time. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For shrimp. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Dr. Howard D.C., founder of Balance of Nature and formulator of the fruits and veggies and fiber and spice supplements, has teamed up with veterinarian Dr. Jake to create Dr. Fido's Dog Food Topper, a tasty, nutritious way to enrich your dog's meals. Just scoop, sprinkle, and stir. Call 888-388-7297 or go to drfidos.com, drphytos.com. And for a limited time, order now and receive a 10% discount with our money-back guarantee by using promo code BALANCE.
A municipal workers' strike in Philadelphia enters day 2. Correspondent Jennifer King reports.
Shut it down! Trash bags are starting to pile up on the curb and spill out of cans in Philadelphia on day 2 of a strike by some 10,000 city workers. A judge granted an injunction ordering some back to work, including 911 dispatchers and essential employees at the water department. District Council 33 of the municipal union says they're seeking 8% annual raises and for the city to pay the full cost for employee health care, among other benefits. Mayor Sherelle Parker says the city has put its best offer on the table, offering raises that amount to 13% over her 4-year term. I'm Jennifer King.
The U.S. is up to 1,267 confirmed measles cases this year, and Kentucky has a new outbreak. The national case count is 7 cases shy of 2019's record case count. News and analysis at townhall.com.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Rain clearing out by midnight. The low temperature dips down to 73. Tomorrow's nicer. A blend of sunshine and clouds to go with a high of 92. For the 4th of July on Friday, it's beautiful. Lots of sunshine, 9 before the high. Weekend looking good. Sunshine-filled skies Saturday, 93 our high. While on Sunday, a blend of sunshine and clouds with a high temperature of 90. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make the point.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Welcome into hour number 2 of Sports Talk. Matt Smith here with you, along with Jazzy Josh Cohen, our producer, filling in for Phil and Chris this week. As Andy from Columbia points out, it is a corn-free tendy, a corn-free dime, a corn-free fourth, because Phil is away on a spiritual sabbatical toward the great Northwest. Chris vacationing but he is winding down his vacation. He will be back with us starting next week. So it's up to me to give you the big story from the day, which is the University of South Carolina Gamecocks football team picked up a commitment from defensive lineman Noah Clark, 350-pounder out of ACC country, Durham, North Carolina. Clark chose the Gamecocks over NC State, Duke, Virginia, and Virginia Tech. That's your big story. We've got some others that we'll get to, including what happens with the Major League Baseball All-Star voting. But for now, let's turn our attention to Pete Iacobelli. 4 decades as the AP sports writer here out of this state, covered the biggest events, did a tremendous job, and this year was honored by the South Carolina Hall of Fame with the Herman Helms Excellence in Media Award. Pete Iacobelli, welcome to Sports Talk.
Thank you, Matt. I really do appreciate you guys having me on for the Where Are They Now segment.
Don't do that, Pete. Everybody knows who you are, and I don't know if they've heard the voice, but I'm sure they have heard the name and a lot of the great writing that has gone on for South Carolina and Clemson over the years, I promised you, has landed in your local newspaper courtesy of the work and the wisdom of Pete Iacobelli. But before we get to that, before we get to your career, I think you're a Yankees fan. Aaron Judge is already in the All-Star game. Are you looking at a TV over your shoulder to see if any other Yankees make the All-Star team instead of giving us your full attention?
No, I am giving you the full attention. I will say that I'm in the middle of reading a book about how the Yankees went from a laughingstock in 1990 to the run of success they had starting in 96, and getting those core guys together. And it's very exciting because it's making me just as angry at times when I read that they traded Willie McGee for Bob Sykes. So I'm still, it's just like I'm right in the moment there. But I will pay attention. I'm glad that Aaron Judge is in, and we'll see who else gets in.
Pete, I'm so glad we've got you on. As a matter of fact, and you can probably hear, Pete is not a South Carolina native, St. John's educated. So I'll ask Pete, you've been here so long and covering our biggest events here in the state of South Carolina, how did you end up here, and what has that journey been like, just living in South Carolina all these years now?
Yeah, it's quite a journey for sure. I started at the Associated Press in 1985 in New York. I'm from Staten Island, grew up in New York. Spent the first 30, plus years of my life there. Never figured I'd be much anywhere else like most of my family. But they had a spot opening here in Columbia, South Carolina for a sports writer. And they moved me down. Now, of course, this may surprise you too, but I never expected to stay. I figured it'd be, a few years of here in South Carolina, learning how to cover sports more frequently. I previously had worked on the desk at headquarters on the sports desk there and did agate and results. That's how I got started in this business. So, and then, I don't know how to, one thing becomes another, and you find a life down here, and you enjoy the things that you do, and you make a name for yourself here. And then, 32 years later, you're here. I'm one of those Yankees who stayed in South Carolina. I think there's a term for that, but, I'll let your listeners come up with that themselves.
Pete Iacobelli joining us. Pete, just quickly, we will get into some topics about this summer and this fall in a moment, but I did want to mention on air, our history together begins long before we met. I was working as a copy editor at the Herald-Journal in Spartanburg, when life was new. And you were providing stories, of course, on the AP Wire, and I could, as a copy editor, and you might know a little bit about that world. You just mentioned you worked in Agate, and your writing was crisp, on point, structured. It was so easy for the copy editors, and everyone that was above me would always say, "Oh, Pete's good. Get that on the front with a photo. You'll be golden." And so 2 decades before I met you, you had made my life easier, and I had read all of your writings about South Carolina, Clemson, and more. And, of course, and that's only a story for those of us that care about newspapers, which kids is a thing that your parents would read in the morning.
Is that still a thing? I'm not sure.
Well, that's the way it is. But that is how far back we go. And I know a lot of people have that story is they may not have heard your voice, they may not have seen your face, but they have seen that byline, Pete Iacobelli, for all these years in our state.
Well, I appreciate it, Matt. It's I always tried to do things in a good, positive, professional way, and I appreciate hearing stories like that from people like yourselves. And then obviously when we meet in person and interact at games, it's certainly been a wonderful experience because you are a talented journalist and broadcaster as well, and I appreciate our good talks in press boxes and press rows and things like that when we've met through the years.
We will get back to that in just a few minutes, but I did want to ask you, I saw you had an ACC roundup recently published, and the lead was about Bill Belichick's early months at North Carolina. And, if you cover sports long enough, if you think back, it is surreal. You could not have imagined 15, 20 years ago that from where our Columbia studios sit, we're a little more than 3 hours away from where Bill Belichick is coaching college football. So what do you think this will really look like? Because so much of this has been about PR and his girlfriend and showing pictures of him wearing powder blue, but now this is really going to happen. Bill Belichick will be on a college football sideline in a few months.
I think the key is for him to surround himself with the right people who can teach younger players, who can teach the young players how to do things in an NFL way. I mean, obviously, if I'm a parent of a prospect and Bill Belichick talks to me about my son and what his future could be, I'm going to listen. I mean, the guy's, a no doubt Pro Football Hall of Famer. When the time comes, there's no question about that. But the important thing is for him to surround himself with the kind of coaches who can get that message across. I think it's very exciting for the program. I think some of this stuff is just, silliness, and it's not going to matter when the games kick off come September or August. They may start in August. But it's just an exciting time, and it's exciting to see how maybe, guys who've done well in the NFL can maybe compete in college and come back and coach in college. It could be an exciting thing for colleges in the future.
Isn't it interesting that North Carolina is not saying that they will change him at all? He will not change. It's more of the University of North Carolina says they will become an NFL program, a professional program, which is, to me, is interesting because Clemson would not do this, in other words, because you will lure a different player and different coaching staff than you will with, say, Dabo Swinney's message.
Yeah, for sure. That's for sure. But I mean, we're seeing the professionalism of all college sports, most notably college football, take shape right now. I mean, I don't know if the checks have been, distributed to the players' bank accounts yet, but here on July 2nd. But with this House settlement now, it's a pro-style event for athletes, especially college football athletes, who will get priority among the settlement funds that colleges are now going to pay to them. So we'll see. I mean, it's going to be interesting. It's an interesting development now, and it's going to be a continued interesting development to see if this plays out into collective bargaining and contracts that get signed, things like that are going to be interesting to see how that unfolds.
Pete Iacobelli, longtime sports writer, of course, as I mentioned, the South Carolina Hall of Fame honored him this year with the Herman Helms Excellence in Media Award. Pete, you don't, and this last answer is a perfect example, you don't seem to do what a lot of people in our industry are doing, which is hand-wringing or pearl clenching or foot stomping about the way college sports has evolved, because it has changed so much from when you would have started 40 years ago to now, straddling that line between amateur and professional, as you just talked about, before fully now committing to a pay structure. So what is that attitude? Because you seem to always be in good humor and not looking for problems, but truly just taking college sports as it comes.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I've done in everything. You know, when I started here at the AP, or in South Carolina with the AP, the bureau structure was a little bit different. Where if it were July 2nd in 1995, and as we know, the college game is kind of, college athletics is kind of taking a little bit of a break at that time of year. And there was a court case that I had to cut, that the AP needed covered. They would send me to the courthouse to cover something there. So I learned early on that, hey, this is what's in front of me. This is what I have to do. Here's my assignment. It's not up to me to make judgments on whatever is unfolding before me. Just the same way I've never tried to make judgments about the college games that I've covered. Now, do I find it amusing that the things I pursued maybe in 1996 as NCAA violations are now welcome parts of the college athletic landscape, for players, and don't cause any kind of grief for anybody? Yeah, that's kind of funny how that evolves. But it seemed like some of them were, some of the violations were silly anyway. When I remember Steve Spurrier's wife, Jerry, made some cookie cakes or some cookies for athletes or something, and it had to be reported as a violation. And we have to ask questions about hey, your wife made some cookies, and she got a violation from the NCAA. I mean, it just seems silly now. Now, obviously, some of the things were more serious than that, but we are at a point where it's not considered violations anymore, and that's amusing. But you've got to stay focused on what's in front of you and what you're doing at the moment, and that's always helped me, take care of what I had to do as a reporter.
We mentioned 4 decades, Pete. You have covered some real characters, both USC and Clemson, and the Holtz and Spurrier eras have to stand out. I have been,
without question,
I've been at some entertaining press conferences, but I did not make any of the Holtz press conferences. But I thought maybe you could tell a story, or maybe you can help those that don't get to go to press conferences, what those events, those circuses were like.
They could very well be circuses, especially that first season when it seemed like everything that could possibly go wrong in 1999 did. I think South Carolina used 6 quarterbacks that year because people were getting hurt. I mean, unfortunately, Lou's son Skip had an illness that kind of took him away from the team. It was just, and South Carolina continued to lose, and immediately everybody was like, well, Lou Holtz has absolutely lost it. But, he tried to keep his humor, up as well, his humor level when he spoke to us too. I remember he and I both went to St. Joseph's Catholic Church, and every once in a while, I'd turn around when they want to greet others and shake their hands at church, and it was Lou Holtz, and then he comes in the following Monday at the press conference, and he goes, yeah, I saw, Pete Akabaki at church, and he was taking money out of the collection plate, and of course, he goes, no, I'm just kidding. So it was enjoyable to get to know people. It was enjoyable to get to know, people who would be considered immortal coaches and guys who really made landmark contributions to the sport. It was nice to get to know them on a average level. I will share this one too. I remember at the end of the Holtz regime, and of course, we all know how it ended. There was the fight between Clemson and South Carolina, and then the next day, I remember the late South Carolina president, Andrew Sorensen. He remarked after Spurrier's welcoming press conference, he goes, I've never had 3 press conferences so close together devoted to football. And he goes, and I came from Alabama. So it was really an intriguing time here, and just chock filled with things that you would not have expected.
Pete, I appreciate the time. We'll let you go now, but we certainly are looking forward to reading what you write next, wherever it is. I know you're freelancing for the AP, and I know you've got some other things that you're considering. So we'll miss you if we don't see you, but we hope that we see you plenty and read you plenty this fall and winter.
Well, just know that I continue to enjoy listening to you, even though, Chris and Phil are not there right now. I enjoy listening to all of you, and it's always been a great time to talk with you, especially Matt.
Wonderful. All right, that's Pete Iacobelli. As I said, we didn't even get into his award, but we'll have Pete back on because he's one of the good ones here in the state of South Carolina, and if he's not writing, we'll miss it. That's a promise. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll have the recruiting report. News out of South Carolina, news for Clemson, news for Coastal Carolina. So we'll do that when we come back, and then we've got SC Wild ahead as we prepare you for a safe 4th of July weekend. Smitty and Josh filling in for Phil and Chris on Sports Talk. Thanks for sticking with us.
Traveling can be the worst, especially when you can't find your favorite show. Well, don't worry. We've got the perfect way to keep up with everything happening in the Palmetto State when you're away from home. Just pull up the Chief Sports app on your mobile device, and you can listen live to Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network.
So the next time you can't find us on one of our great radio affiliates, just log on to the Chief Sports app, the best way to stay connected with the Sports Talk Media Network.
Get ready for a summer of adventure with Founders Federal Credit Union. Now through July 31st, you can take advantage of a special 6.99% APR on select purchases made with your Founders credit card. Whether you're planning a road trip across the state, a relaxing beach getaway, or finally checking off that bucket list destination, we're here to help you make it happen. With this promotional APR, you can enjoy your summer without the stress of high interest rates. Pack your bags, gather your loved ones, and get moving to the vacation you've been dreaming of. Founders makes it easy to enjoy more. So go ahead, kick back, relax, and soak up every sun-soaked moment of your well-deserved summer break without breaking your budget. Learn more and see the list of qualifying purchases at foundersfcu.com/cc. Let Founders help you take the trip of a lifetime. Promotional rate ends February 1st, 2026. Effective APR of 13.25% to 17.90% will apply. Terms and conditions apply. Membership qualification required.
Hi, this is Major Billy Downer, and coming up tonight at 7:30, it's another edition of SC Wild from the Department of Natural Resources on the Sports Talk Media Network.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
Seawell's will be closed for the 4th of July weekend. Will reopen on the 8th. For the latest on Seawell's, you can go to SeawellsCateringSC.com or call 803-771-7385. We want to make sure we get you this recruiting news after a couple of painful setbacks on the recruiting trail. It's our top story today. South Carolina bounced back in a big way with a public commitment from defensive lineman Noah Clark, 350-pounder out of Durham, North Carolina. The Gamecocks beat out NC State, Duke, Virginia, and Virginia Tech. Today is Noah Clark's birthday. A couple of quotes here from Noah. He says, he forged a really close relationship with Travian Robertson, defensive line coach for the Gamecocks, and said the defensive line never stays in one spot. They're always moving, trying to make plays. Coach T-Rob preaches how they don't want to be people eaters. They want to go make plays, move around, get sacks. TFLs get paid is what he says. He wants them to move around, have fun while you're doing it. South Carolina now has 10 commitments for the 2026 class, 2 along the defensive line, 3 from the state of North Carolina. Clemson target defensive end Bryce Perry Wright out of Buford, Georgia, is going to announce his commitment in conjunction with 24/7 Sports from Las Vegas on July 5th at 5 p.m. But there is movement here, at least in the world of recruiting experts. Rivals Steve Wiltfong has predicted Perry Wright will announce for Texas A&M over Clemson, Miami, and Texas. One-time Clemson target wide receiver Cedarian Morgan has committed to Alabama. He did that at a 2 o'clock press conference today. Noon will be the commitment announcement time on 4th of July for South Carolina target wide receiver Travis Johnson. The other finalists, Georgia, North Carolina, Penn State, Michigan, Indiana, and Virginia Tech. Clemson target wide receiver Devin Fitzgerald of Phoenix. Yes, that's Larry Fitzgerald's son. He's got a July 5th commitment date. Lists a Final Four of Clemson, UCLA, Stanford, and Notre Dame. Recruiting media sentiment, those that work for Rivals 24/7 and more, is leaning toward the Irish. And we've got a Coastal Carolina note from baseball. Texas catcher Cole Chamberlain is transferring to the Chanticleers as a freshman this year. Chamberlain played in 22 games, started 10, batted just 135. Maybe he will do better with Coastal Carolina and that catching lineage that they have under Kevin Schnall, who himself was a catcher at Coastal. Former South Carolina pitcher Wyatt Evans, left-hander out of J.O. Mann, is transferring to North Greenville. And that is your recruiting report presented by Seawell's. Josh, we've got just a couple of minutes before we get to SC Wild here. Do you think Tarek Skubal, you tell me how you Tigers fans say it, the best pitcher in baseball, left-handed starting pitcher for Detroit, who is the best pitcher in baseball right now, do you think he's going to end up getting the nod to start the All-Star game for the AL?
Well, I think his name is Scooby. That's what I call him. I call him Scooby. I guess it's Skubal.
Skubal. That's good.
Something
Tarek
like
Skubal.
that. But yeah, I hope so. I think he'll do good. I don't follow MLB. That's the one thing about me. I'm a football guy, but I like watching MLB. I love watching baseball, but I can't get into it too deep. There's just too many people, too much to follow.
You're scarred from being a Detroit fan. You know,
it's fair.
You guys, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, we got SC Wild coming up next.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Rain clearing out by midnight. The low temperature dips down to 73. Tomorrow's nicer. A blend of sunshine and clouds to go with a high of 92. For the 4th of July on Friday, it's beautiful. Lots of sunshine, night before the high. Weekend looking good. Sunshine-filled skies Saturday, 93 our high. While on Sunday, a blend of sunshine and clouds with a high temperature of 90. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Hey y'all, it's Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We're introducing our new healthy gluten-free menu. For your choices, we offer charbroiled certified Angus ribeye steak, juicy marinated grilled chicken dinner, fresh grilled salmon, authentic Greek salad, hamburger steak with grilled onions and melted cheese, shish kebab with grilled chicken, veggie blue plate with a choice of 4 vegetable selections, spring chicken salad, and of course, our famous slow roasted pot roast. Come and enjoy a healthy gluten-free menu at Flight Deck Restaurant. We at Flight Deck Restaurant thank you, and God bless.
Members to With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Authorities say 7 people are missing following an explosion at a fireworks warehouse in rural Northern California that caused a massive fire. The California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection says Wednesday that emergency crews and investigators are working with the property's owner and monitoring the area using drones to find the individuals. It's not immediately clear if those missing worked at the warehouse or lived nearby. Republican leaders in the House are sprinting toward a vote on President Trump's tax and spending cuts package, determined to seize momentum from a hard-fought vote in the Senate while essentially daring members to defy their party's leader and vote against it. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 10 points, the Nasdaq rose 190. More at srnnews.com.
Hey, I'm Katie Griner. Every Tuesday from 8:30 to 9, we'll be talking about issues that concern seniors and their families. So join us right here on 100.7 The Point Radio for Positive Points on Aging, brought to you by Oakley Village in Lexington.
When your pipes panic, Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning steps right in, fast and friendly. Josh and his team aren't just fixing leaks, they're restoring your peace of mind. This is when you're at your most vulnerable. You got a problem, you need a solution. They're not coming out to upsell you or talk you into something new this or new that. You'll appreciate their process. They'll tell you what needs to get done and what it'll cost before they ever even bring in their tools to start the work. They're locally owned, which unfortunately is no longer the norm in the Midlands. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning will treat every home like their own. They've done work for me, for my brother, countless numbers of Point listeners. Dial 799-2222 or visit franklinplumbing.sc.com and you tell them Kev from The Point sent you. You will experience plumbing that's more than just a fix. It's a solution from people who care about their work and stand by it. When you need them, please don't panic. Just call Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning, 799-2222.
It's painting season in the Midlands, and Southern Palmetto Painting and Renovation sets the tone for inspired living. Watch your home change from ordinary to outstanding with colors that liven every wall and craftsmanship you can trust. Michael and his team are fully licensed, bonded, and insured. They care for every detail inside and out of your home. Let's give your home the style and care it deserves. Call 922-5615. Southern Palmetto Painting and Renovations, where every project reflects pride.
At Palmetto State Armory, we offer the largest selection of guns and ammunition at unbeatable prices. Our knowledgeable and friendly staff are here to provide personalized assistance, ensuring you find exactly what you need. If you enjoy outdoor activities like hunting, camping, or hiking, our clothing and outdoor gear collection has got you covered. We also feature an exceptional indoor range facility where you can experience the thrill of shooting in a safe and controlled environment. Visit us today at PalmettoStateArmory.com or your local retail store. Palmetto State Armory, American made for life.
Want to hear my success story? I'm Fran Halloran, the money coach. I'm celebrating a decade of partnering with The Point. It's one of the best decisions I ever made. I've used The Point to significantly grow my small business. It started with a meeting with Kevin Cohen. Do you own a small business? Are you on a limited budget? No problem. Reach out to Kev at 563-8558. Get a customized plan and start your journey to business growth with The Point today. Success is one call away. Take the leap.
Hello, this is Stacy Huff, host of Huff Nation Sports Zone, each and every Saturday, 10 to 11 a.m. right here on 100.7 FM, The Point, and also 1470 a.m. It'll be a fun trip around the world of sports. Huff Nation Sports Zone, check it out.
It's SC Wild with Major Billy Downer from the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer is here to answer your questions about the great outdoors. Call in now at 888-898-2525 and join SC Wild on the Sports Talk Media Network.
We do have Major Billy Downer with us tonight, another edition of SC Wild. And Billy, I know there's a lot going on. You've got lotteries coming up for some of the hunts. And, of course, we're only 2 days away, maybe even closer for some people to that holiday. And I know safety's always on your mind when we start talking about holidays and everybody getting out on the water and in the outdoors together.
Yes, absolutely. So
Last show we talked about the alligator lottery hunt, so I kind of wanted to hit that for just a minute and just remind folks, the alligator hunts have become very popular now. Those take anywhere from 3 to 4 years, maybe 5 years to get drawn. Those applications started June 1st and they will close July 15th. So that's less than 2 weeks away. So folks, if you haven't put your lottery application in for the alligator hunts, you need to go ahead and get that done pretty quick before it slips up on you and you miss it. Again, we did open up a different slot size this year for the under 8 size. I think it's 4 to 7 feet, which would add opportunity for folks who choose that option, the smaller option. They may get drawn quicker. And then, of course, I've got an email. I'm sure if you're on the DNR email list, you have gotten an email about the deer lottery hunts. Now, deer lottery hunts are an old tradition that has gone on for probably 40 years or more, maybe 50 years on DNR properties. But the deer hunts have been very popular. Those applications started July 1st and will close August 15th. So they just started yesterday, basically. And those are for different places like, we've got Bear Island, Hamilton Ridge, Belfast, Bono Ferry, which is kind of a youth hunt area, but also for adults, Botany Bay, Coosawhatchee, Donnelly, Palachicola, like I said, Ramsey Grove, South Fenwick Island, which has always been a popular hunt. It's archery only, Watery River, WMA, the Webb Center, which has been a huge success for years. The Webb Center is kind of an old South plantation-style hunt. You go, you spend the night, you get a meal, and you get to hunt deer, which is really cool. The Webb Center hunt's pretty cool down in down toward Hamilton Ridge and down in the lower part of the state. So those are very popular hunts. Again, the deer hunt started July the 1st as far as the online applications, not the hunt. The online applications for the deer lottery. And alligator lottery will go through July 15th. So it's coming up pretty quick. The alligator hunt, for those who are interested in that, is a $10 fee to apply for that. And you don't get it back. It's $10. And then if you get drawn, it's $100 to purchase the tag. So the $10 is just to be in the lottery. If you get chosen, you have to pay the $100 tag. And that's what you have to have in possession when you're hunting an alligator in South Carolina. So that's what's going on right now with lottery hunts. Of course, we've got July 4th coming up, and I can't miss a moment or opportunity to talk to folks about safety on the water, what we're doing as far as in South Carolina to promote safety so that folks know where you might be able to go. There are a lot of courtesy boat inspections coming up this weekend. You'll find those in the next over the weekend here. As far as July 4th, you can go to different areas across the state and get your boat checked out before you hit the water. Remember, again, these are free of charge. They don't cost you anything. You don't have to do it. But if you see our officers at a landing and you want to take part in that, all you have to do is ask the officer to come over. They'll do a quick inspection of the boat. They'll check your boat for the things we're going to talk about tonight. Again, as we always remind folks about boating safety and what's required to have, your registration, all those things. And if there's a problem, they're going to let you know before you get on the water so you have an opportunity to fix it before you get out on the water. So July 4th weekend this year, July 4th is on Friday, and that kind of makes for a big weekend. When we have July 4th in the middle of the week, the weekend split depends on where it's closest to when your biggest boating weekend will be. But since it's on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday will be a huge boating weekend here in South Carolina from the mountains to the sea. No doubt about it. No pun intended. From up in Jocassee to Hartwell to Kiowee, all the way down to Charleston Harbor or Murrells Inlet or down in Beaufort, down in the Calabogie Sound. All that will be busy. There will be people everywhere. So before you go out this weekend, let's talk about a few safety tips, a few things we always remind folks about. And I'm going to start from the time you leave the house to when you get to the landing. So before you drive away from the house, check your trailers. Make sure you got air in the tires. Particularly if you got a long drive or short drive, doesn't matter. Make sure your tires have proper pressure so that they won't, that you're not going to have a flat tire or blowout because you didn't check your air pressure in the tires.
Make sure you grease your hubs on those bearings around the tires. It's just a good habit to get into. Check those bearings. Now, if you're going for a short trip, probably won't have a problem. But if you're heading from the Midlands down to the coast or something for the beach for July 4th week, make sure you check those hubs, because when you get on the road for about an hour, those things heat up without that grease in them, and you could have a really bad problem on the side of the road. I've had it happen to me, with friends I've been with. I've had it happen to me personally. Those are bad afternoons when you have a blowout or you get a hub that gets overheated on the side of the road. It makes for a very long afternoon. And when you're trying to go have a recreational time, it's not good to get stopped before you go do that with something hot, especially when it's hot afternoons like we've had the last 2 weeks. Check that. When you hook your boat up, make sure that your boat is hooked up to the, as far as your ball hitch on your trailer, is the same size as the hitch on the boat. The receiver on the boat. So the difference in that would be, it used to be 1 7/8 was what everybody had. Well, now everything's pretty much 2 inch. And people still have 2 inch, 1 7/8, and some have 2 5/16, which is a really large hub. And if you've got a really big boat, you may have that hub. So it's just, you just need to know what your hub size, what your size is on that hitch, and what your receiver size is so they match up. If your receiver's smaller than your hitch, in other words, if you have an 1 7/8 hitch and you got a 2 inch receiver, an 1 7/8 hitch and a 2 inch hitch, an 1 7/8 receiver, that's the ball going in it, it's going to allow for play and your trailer can pop off. So when you hook your trailer up, lock it down, make sure you attach the safety chains. All trailers have safety chains. Crisscross them. That's a good habit, because if the trailer does pop off, that crisscross action will kind of provide sort of a net if the trailer hitch drops, to potentially keep it from digging in the asphalt on the road when you're traveling down the road at 55, 65, 75 miles an hour. Again, a bad day if it comes off your boat. So check your tire pressure, check your hubs, make sure you got the hitch hooked up properly, and then you're good to go from the standpoint of your trailer. Before you leave, make sure your boat is connected to the trailer. This happens at landings too often. People get the boat up on the trailer and they forget to attach the strap to the front of the boat and ratchet it down with that winch. If you don't do that, you got lucky and got home, or maybe you're working at something at home, took it off, and you're riding down the road, that boat can fly off your trailer. Bad day again. So trailers are an important part of the journey. They're the first part of your journey before you leave your yard. And that's how you're going to get to the landing safely. Now, when you get, lights, we could go on and on about trailer lights. Trailer lights, I quote it every year. A good friend of mine told me trailer lights are an abomination. They only work when you buy it and when you fix it until you get on the road, and then they quit. So trailer lights always give problems. It doesn't matter the wear on the wires under the trailer. You're going to have problems with trailer lights, but you want to make sure your brake lights are working at the minimum, so if you brake, people can see it. Because if the boat's blocking your brake lights and you're hitting the brakes, somebody runs into you, it's your fault. So you want to make sure your lights on your trailer are working. Turn signals are a bonus, that's great, but brake lights at a minimum, and lights so at night if you're driving down the road, your running lights work as well. So trailers are a big part of everything. I don't usually spend a lot of time on trailers, but this year I wanted to talk about that because we're doing a really good job online and through social media posting about trailers, and I want to kind of take a moment on the show tonight and talk about that as well. So you got your trailer good, your boat's ready to leave. Before you get down to the water, check a few things. We talk about it every year. Check on your registration. Make sure your registration is up to date, good to go, that your registration is the current year. It says 25 at least, and that the month that it goes out is at least July or later. If it's 26, you're in great shape. So check your registration numbers. Make sure you got your numbers displayed properly on the side of the boat. 3-inch block style letters. A lot of people put cursive, and we can get away with that sometimes, but if we can't see that numbering on the boat properly, the law says block style, 3-inch block style letters. Make sure they're big enough that they're in a contrasting color to the boat so that officers can see what the numbers are. If you've got a really light boat, like that good, not really cool seafoam green, don't put white numbers on it because it doesn't show up well. You need contrasting colors. So black, something dark, that you can really see that number really well on the boat. Again, if we're trying to identify a boat for emergency purposes, to find someone, you want us to make sure we can find you pretty quick. But again, make sure that they're properly displayed, 3-inch letters with reading with your SC in the front, left to right, with your sticker on the back side of those numbers as far as your registration sticker should follow the numbers. So on the left side of the boat, it's going to be toward the rear. On the right side of the boat, it's going to be toward the front. So that's how your registration numbers run. So registration is good. Make sure you got your registration card, that it's in current year. It's the right registration card for the boat. I've seen people get out there and they have more than one boat and they have the wrong registration card in the boat, and it's for a boat that's expired. You want to make sure you have the right registration card for your boat. As far as titling your motors, we're still a titling state with motors. Your motor titles, you need to have that motor title sticker on the back of the motor. It properly affixed to the side of the motor so you can see that title sticker there if your boat motor's been titled. Now, moving forward, past all the registration requirements, it's safety time. Make sure you got some basic safety things. We talk about it every year, life jackets. And what's crazy is this year we've had so many drownings in the past few weeks, and these drownings can be prevented if people would just wear a life jacket. And I hate to say it that way, but a lot of deaths can be prevented by folks wearing a life jacket. It's not hard. Yes, it may not be cool. I get that from the standpoint, you may not look cool floating in the water with a life jacket, but if you get tired, that life jacket is very important because it can help float you and keep you above the water. Again, make sure you got enough life jackets for everybody on the boat, including young people, that they're the right size for everybody in the boat, including youngsters, toddlers, whatever. There's lots of sizes of life jackets out there. Walmart's an easy place to find them. They've got lots of sizes. And make sure you look on that tag on the life jacket or on the life jacket itself. It'll tell you what the pounds and what it's made for, what size child it's made for. So make sure it fits the right person. Again, don't get a small life jacket for a big guy. It's not going to work. It's not going to float him if he needs it. Yeah, it may count for a life jacket, but if you need it, you want to make sure it floats you. So that's the big deal. You know, it used to be all types of life jackets. We talk about type 1s offshore, type 2s, which is your common orange one that everybody sees at Walmart or in your stores. Those are type 1s, type 2s are designed to flip your head upright if you're unconscious. That's the beauty of those two. Type 3, the old type 3 is your recreational style, which is for skiing. That was the type that most people wear because you have freedom of movement. And then you got your throwable type 4, which is required on any boat, throwable, size 16 feet or longer. You've got to have one throwable on the boat. It can be the ring buoy or the square seat cushion, but make sure it's not a seat cushion, that it is a U.S. Coast Guard approved type 4 throwable device. You're required to have that. So life jackets, first and foremost, everything there. A whistle so that you can get somebody's attention if you have trouble, or a horn. If your boat's equipped with a horn, that's fine. We get to fire extinguishers. People get confused a lot about fire extinguishers. And one of the things I want to remind folks on fire extinguishers is if your boat has a gas tank that is permanently affixed, if it's internal to the boat, or it's permanently affixed up under a seat, or up under a seat, not affixed to the boat, but under the seat where it's hard to get to, you're required to have a fire extinguisher. In most cases, a B1, a 1B1 fire extinguisher will work. B1 is a category that's designed to put out fires in a boat. So you can go to Walmart again and buy the B1 fire extinguisher. Usually they're white, a marine fire extinguisher designed to put out gas fires, things like that. So again, most boats, one B1 will qualify. If it's a really big boat of 26 feet, you may need more than one. But you need, for most boats that we have in the lakes, one B1 will work. Make sure your fire extinguisher is in good condition. How do you know that? Well, if it's a good fire extinguisher, it's going to have a dial on it. Make sure that the arrow is in the green, not in the red. If it's in the red, your material inside of it may have hardened and it won't work if you need it. That's important. All these things could be a violation if you don't have proper equipment and could result in a fine. But that's not why I want you to do it. I want you to do it so if you need it, you've got it. So life jackets, whistle, fire extinguishers, all those things are very important. Throwable device if your boat's over 16 feet or over. So if you've got young people on the boat, people always ask this question, do my grandchildren, are they required to wear a life jacket? The law in South Carolina is this: if your boat is less than 16 feet in length and the child is under age 12, they're required to have a life jacket on at all times. Now, does that mean that a 3-year-old is not required to have a life jacket on a pontoon or a large deck boat or a large center console? By law, they're not required to have one on. Is that a good idea? Absolutely not. It's not a good idea. Toddlers, make sure your toddlers have a life jacket on because they can run and get off the side of the boat and get in trouble real quick. So keep a life jacket on them, no matter what the size of your boat. It's just a good idea. Y'all there?
Yes, sir. Go for it.
We are, Major Downer, and I was fascinated in listening to that about how many people might not check that trailer. And what you described, that you said bad day, that's a nightmare. That's an absolute nightmare that would ruin not only your 4th of July, but whoever's behind you in 2 lanes for about a quarter mile. So I think that's. You said you don't hit on that at all, but a lot. But I think that is absolutely crucial if you only take your boat out once every couple of months or less.
Absolutely. And July 4th, when people bring the boat out, they don't bring it out any other time of year. Most of the time they're going to go out and they will actually go out there and they'll pull the boat out all of a sudden. And it's just, if you don't use your boat year round and the big weekends in the summer you bring that boat out, that's when the worst happens. And again, it all starts with the trailer. Most people trailer their boats to the lake. They don't have a dock. Some people own a dock at the lake, no big deal. Got it. Your boat's in the water. When you get to the landing and you got your boat and you're getting there, make sure before you get to pull the landing, get everything in your boat then so that you're ready to go when you put in. When you put in, drop the boat in, have someone hold the boat at the landing or tie it off, pull off with your vehicle, go park, and come back and then get out of the way so other people can do the same thing. So many times at landings, things get heated because people are ready to get on the water, they get tired of sitting in a line, and then somebody has problems, and it happens. People get to the landing, the boat goes sideways, they get stuck on the ramp, they run the boat off the side of the trailer because they got a brand new boat, they don't know how to drive it. It happens. I've seen it all. And other people are wanting to get in the water. So do your practice before this weekend. Don't wait till this weekend to take the brand new boat out. Do some practice so you can get in that landing and get out of the way quickly and efficiently. That's the best. I should say efficiently, because if you take a lot of time, people are going to get mad because you're in the way and they're ready to get in the water. So I try to always pride myself in my 27 plus years career. I can get out of the water pretty quick. Somebody's not waiting on me. Because throughout our career, we've had to drop our boats in by ourselves, and you figure out how to do it real quick. So that's something I don't worry about, but I see so many people struggle on big weekends. When you get to the landing, make sure you put the plug in the boat. I will tell you this, I've been with game wardens who forgot to put the plug in the boat on a big boat. And you get out in the water, and you wonder why the back of the boat starts getting heavy, and the motor starts dragging a little bit. And you're like, why is this boat so slow? And then you figure out, they didn't put the plug in the back of the boat. I've seen boats sink at landings because of that. Put the plug in the boat. If you leave your boat over the weekend at a dock, here's another little tidbit. A lot of boats are equipped with an automatic bilge system. The bilge is a pump, or as old people call it, the bilge, but it's pronounced bilge. The bilge pump is in the bottom of the boat, usually in the lowest portion of the boat in the rear, where water collects. If water gets in the boat coming over the bow, or rainwater will collect. If you park your boat and you have one of those switches, the Pergo switch that turns everything off, make sure it doesn't turn your automatic bilge off, because if you leave your boat at a landing, at a dock, and you have a big rainstorm, you may wake up the next morning to find your boat underwater.
Major,
lots of people have done that.
We just had a call that just came through and asked, he didn't want to go on air, but he asked, what happens or what should you do if you get hit with a firework on your boat?
Well, that's probably a great question, considering most people this weekend are going to go out on the water to watch fireworks. The first rule of that is stay away from the fireworks, stay where you can see them, but don't get in the middle of them. Now, I've seen folks that were working the fireworks using boats to get out there, and sometimes fireworks go sideways. I mean, best thing again, keep away from the fireworks. If a firework does hit you, seek medical attention as quick as possible if you get a burn of any sort. And again, typically our officers are out in the water doing these fireworks displays. If you see one of our boats, go up to them. If you got a problem, let them know, and they'll help get you to some help. But again, that's a big deal. Fireworks displays this weekend are huge. So before we get off tonight, we're going to hit the last thing. When you get on that water and you're out for that fireworks show, make sure your lights work on the boat. And when I say lights, I don't mean the interior lights. I don't mean those cool blue lights or green lights or red lights under the water that you like to show off with. I mean your running lights, your red and green bow light and your white all-around light. Make sure the red and green bow light is working on the front of the boat, that both of them are working. And most importantly, your white all-around light, which is the stern light on the back of your boat or on the top of your T-top or on the top of that, on your pontoon, on the top of when you fold that pontoon cover back, it's usually on the top of that cover. Make sure that light is working so that boats can see you. Because particularly this weekend, there will be hundreds, if not thousands of boats on the water. And as the light turns to dark at night for these fireworks shows, everybody's sitting there, everybody's good. But when the fireworks shows end and everybody starts heading back, that massive rush back to the shore, people will lose your boat in the lights off of docks, in the lights off of windows at houses, because we have so much ambient light now. Make sure that you have your running lights, red and green, and that white light to distinguish your boat from something else. Again, the red and green lights are there to show you what direction the boat's going. If you see green, that means you have the right of way. If you see red, that means stop, they have the right of way. People forget that when they get on the water. They kind of go brain dead and forget all about that. But that's what the red and green's there for, to help you know who has the right of way.
Well, I guess everybody be safe. If you are not safe with fireworks, you may end up with 9 fingers instead of 10. So I guess just be safe.
I hope you're
with
not
fireworks.
throwing fireworks off the boat. Good point. Yeah, let's don't be throwing fireworks off the boat. Plus, you got a boat with gasoline in it. Probably not a good idea to be throwing fireworks off of it anyway. But yeah, again, the fireworks shows are a big hit this weekend. We want people to go on the water. We want people to have a good time. We want you to safely return back to shore at the end of the fireworks show. So that's my big tip tonight, is make sure your running lights are working. Final thing, when you get on that water, that you've checked your running lights out. If not, if you've got a problem, you can always use a red and green, this little snap lights that you can buy. If you can find red and green ones, you can use those temporarily if you need to. The little glow sticks, a red and green glow stick will work for your red and green bow light on the front, and a white one will work in an emergency on the back. I always keep those in the boat just in case if you ever need them. But again, want everybody to be safe this weekend. Watch out for everybody else in the water. Make sure that you anticipate what others are doing. If you're out there around a lot of people skiing, pulling grandkids on on tubes, what have you, in a big traffic areas, watch out and expect the unexpected. Expect that person to fall off the tube. Expect that person to fall off the skis, or expect somebody on a jet ski to cut in front of you and not pay attention, or another boat. Always expect the unexpected, because driver inattention, failure to maintain proper lookout are the 2 major reasons we have boating accidents in this state. And I would like to get out of July 4th weekend without a fatality. So do your part to keep this water safe and the waterways safe in South Carolina.
I know it. We're glad to know you, Major Downer. I shudder sometimes to think when you come back with some of the stories. And South Carolina is the best place to be on 4th of July weekend. But as you said, there's a lot of injuries and worse sometimes on the water this time of year. All right, that's it for another edition of SC Wild. We thank Major Billy Downer for being with us. We're on a 22-hour break. Last show before the 4th of July weekend, tomorrow, 6:05.